Hey fellow nerds, I'm Stefan The All-In Nerd, and in this video I'm gonna show you guys how I put on my Iron Man suit. In the first Iron Man movie, it takes Tony Stark about 50 seconds to get into his Mark III suit the first time. And for us non-geniuses with a bit of a smaller budget who works with foam or 3D printed suits, it takes a bit longer. I built my suit by 3D printing it, and here are all the parts for it. And the model is the Mark III, the same as in the first Iron Man movie. And I can put most of it on by myself. But if I want to connect the electronics and use my silicone sleeves or inner gloves, I need some assistance. But without help I would still be able to have the helmet and the arc reactor working. But I want to show you guys how I put everything on. So for this video I brought some help. So let's get started. The first things that I put on isn't 3D printed, but bought. Firstly it's a jock strap to prevent pinching of stuff. And secondly it's a morph suit in a darker red color to make the gaps in the suit less obvious. Then I put on my fancy belt that is used to hold up the legs. It's quite a lot of weight on the straps from the legs, so I made the belt wide to keep it from digging into my hips. But before I can put on the legs, I have to step into the cod and abs piece. The cod is a solid piece, with the part going in between the legs cut off, so it won't chafe. And I cut off the part in the front, and I reattached it with elastic bands. So it will be able to move when I walk around. And it still looks quite good without hindering the mobility. The front and back abs are separated parts that are attached to the cod in the bottom with elastic straps. I leave them open for a while, so I can move around and bend over a bit while putting the legs on. And when it's time for the legs, I start by putting on my silicone inner knee parts. This is to hide the morph suit in the back and also in the front of the knee when I bend the leg. The idea was to make it to look like a part of the suit. So now it's time to slide on the legs. The thigh and shin are attached to each other with a hinge, so it's just one piece to put on. And I make sure that the cable for the electronics in the calves goes through on the inside of the thigh at the same time. I even have some velcro to keep it in place. When I get the leg fully on, I step straight into the shoe, because the legs are so long that otherwise I would have to stand on my toes not to break the lower part of the shin. And this is after cutting off some of the suit to make the leg shorter. The legs on the suit are very tight around my knees, so it's a very tight fit even without the silicone. Fun Iron Man leg facts! Did you know that the Iron Man suits in the newer movies have abnormally long legs?
Little facts that a lot of people probably don't know. Iron Man's legs are longer than a human's legs.
I think that's why most of us cosplayers have problems sizing up our Iron Man suits properly. All bodies are shaped differently. And yeah, I have normal shoes inside of 3D printed ones. It wasn't my brightest idea and I really paid for it during my first Comic-Con. During my last one it wasn't all that bad though, after some adjustments from prior. And I think my feet have gotten a bit used to it from wearing the suit quite often. But yeah, wearing shoes that doesn't fit perfectly and then stand and walk around for about 6 hours will surely have an impact on your feet no matter what. Back to the thighs. On the inside of the outer rim of the thighs, there are straps with female buckles attached. I sewed the straps onto the brackets before PLA welding them in place inside of the thigh. These have a fixed length and are not adjustable. But they connect to the straps on the belt, which can be adjusted to pull the legs up to keep them in the right place. And that's just what I do after I connect them. Since the codpiece is loose, I can pull that up a bit to have a better access to the belt and buckles. After they're both connected, I can lower the codpiece into position. It sits sturdy upon my hips. Probably a bit too sturdy. The calves are next. The calves have two hooks that sits on two pins in the shins, and then it can be leaned into place where it attaches with magnets, and then it gets secured with velcro, so they won't pop off. Yeah, hopefully I made sure that I won't have to experience that again. This is one of the tighter parts of suiting up. I made several adjustments the last 6 months to simplify this step in the process. But to be honest, I would have to redo the thighs a bit wider to get a perfect fit. This just shows that you could save a lot of time and headache by using a scaling program like Armorsmith or something similar when deciding on the size of your parts. When I made this suit I was just guessing, I didn't have any program like that. Okay, the calves are in and the cables are connected. some questionable fondling later, and the cables are hidden and tightened up to the abs. Now it's time to close the abs and snap it shut. Hope you liked the video, guys. Oh, sorry. Hope you liked the video, guys. And if you do, and you want to see more in the future, make sure you have that subscribe button pressed, and don't be afraid to press the like. It will make my day. Let's get back to the video. And next step will be the upper body. There's two cables going from the chest to the back to connect the repulsors in the hands. The chest and the back are connected with two white straps in the top. So when I open up the sides, the full upper body can be lifted on like a poncho. But before we put the upper body on, all of the electronics must be turned on. Here I've also made an improvement, so even if all of the electronics are on, I can have the power switched off here on the side. So nothing will get triggered and accidentally break before I'm fully suited up. And sure, it might be a bit too much with an Arduino for every function, but I've had so many problems with both code and wiring, so if something would start to glitch or a servo breaks, I can just turn that function off and the rest of the suit will continue to work. Okay, let's lift it on. Now, before we reattach the chest and the back in the bottom, we need to connect the cables coming from the calves to the bottom of the back piece. And I made them one male and one female connector, so they won't get mixed up. Okay, now on the inside of both the chest and the back, I have support, and that should go on the top of both the back and front of the abs. This will keep the upper body at the height that I want it to be. It will be snug to the abs, and the cod will take a little bit of weight out of it. At the same time, the sides should slide back together and be secured with Velcro strips. Now it's starting to take shape. Before the arms go on, the cables that should go to the hands needs to be plugged in. And then it's time for the elbow silicone sleeves. When sliding those on, I'm holding the cables in my hands, so they'll run through on the inside of the silicone sleeves. The arms consist of the bicep, elbow and forearm as one big part. And again, I'm holding the cables in my hands, so they'll run all the way through. This is also a bit tight, so the silicone sleeves might need to be adjusted when putting the arms on. The arms connect to buckles that are strapped just above the shoulder, and we're tightening these ones so the arms stay in place. The right arm have an extra cable that controls the arm missile, so that one needs to be plugged in as well. And then the excess cables gets tensioned and pressed into the back so it won't show. Then the shoulder pads easily get snapped on with two buckles on each arm. And they sit snug upon two brackets. Then we'll get to the tightest fit of the whole suit, the inner gloves and the gloves. I did make these thinner and darker for my latest con, but they got a bit too thin and got torn, so now I'm back on the prototype. The inner gloves go on easy, but then it's time for the outer ones. And I do have wires drawn inside of the right glove, where the triggers for all the mechanics are, so that one is extra tight. But after struggling a bit and pressing finger by finger, they're all on. And you can imagine how hard it is to put these on somebody else, because I'm struggling when I'm putting on myself. The hand toppers are attached with elastic bands and Velcro. The cables for the hands gets plugged in, and the Velcro on the elastic bands attached. Now the hand toppers move and slide easily when I tilt my hands to trigger the repulsors. Now we're getting close. Usually now I go with the neck and the helmet and be done with it. But I've also installed some LEDs in the helmet that I can connect to all of the circuits in the back, so I can see which one of the circuits that are currently active, even though I can't see them move. So when I want to connect that, we start with the helmet. Making sure it's turned on, leaving the backside off to connect the cable in the back of the neck, followed by attaching the backside of the helmet, then the neck piece gets squeezed in. It's a bit tricky, but since it's made out of flexible PLA, it's not that bad. And I use Velcro to keep it together. And now you can see the LEDs in the helmet turning on and off when I trigger the mechanics with my fingers. And that's it, now I'm fully dressed. Easy, right? Now I'm ready to walk the floor of a convention or visit a school to surprise some kids and make their day. Best feeling in the world. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and for you cosplayers that are struggling with the suit up, I hope this video helped you out in some kind of way. So until next time, have a great day and
Confusing which is one from the other, 'cause it doesn't